What's up, producers? Here are 5 cool things you can do with Motion Harmonic that you might not know about. There's the envelope follower. You can turn parts of pathways on or off. There's a safety limiter built in to make sure you're never going to get distortion you don't want. There's actually a built-in shortcut to start and stop recording pathways. There's also a way to move the entire pathway uniformly, which you might not know about. And a bonus, the logo is actually a non-click bypass button. So we're going to talk about all of that in this video coming up. Let's get into it. The best way to demonstrate this is to use it on this drum loop. What we're going to do is take the high pass filter, and when I click and drag, you know that we can drag it onto a macro node, but when I'm dragging, you can also see in the center there's a squiggly, kind of like a waveform with an arrow on it. If I get close to it, it highlights, and I can actually drop my parameter onto there, and this is the same with any parameter. And now instead of a slider determining the range of dry and wet, it will actually be determined by the amplitude of the incoming audio signal. So in this case, we really just want to affect the kick, for example. And you can see on the high pass frequency node down here, it's really reacting when the kick is coming in. Now we have our standard sort of envelope follower controls down here where we can adjust the threshold. Really, we only want to focus on the kick, so I can pull that up fairly high. But now we're getting some of that rumbly bass, so I can perhaps bring it down. Right around there, and then we have attack and release time. So maybe I want to just have the kick but get rid of the bassy part. I can increase the attack and decrease the release. I'm going to bring down the threshold a bit more. And there we go. We've isolated the high end or the top loop of those drums and removed the bassy part of the kick. And we did it all with the envelope follower that's built into Motion Harmonic. Now, of course, you can use that with any one of the automatable effects inside of the plugin. All right, to understand this next power user tip, we're going to have to talk about the click off and click on options here in the cursor and hexagon section. Right now I'm on constant, so I don't need to do anything, and my magnet's going to act, in this case, repel any of the macro nodes. If I turn click off, you'll see that it's kind of acting the same way, but if I click in 1, 2, 3 click, you can see that my magnet goes away and the nodes act like my magnet isn't there. Now if I 1, 2, 3 unclick, you'll see that it's now repelling again. And if I go to click on, I'm not clicking, and you'll see that my magnet is essentially off, but if I 1, 2, 3 click, it's now acting like it's on, and as soon as I unclick, 1, 2, 3 unclick, you'll see that it's now acting like it's not there. This is gonna come in very important for this next bit where we can actually turn off segments of our pathways. Okay, so now that we know what the click off and click on buttons do, let's go ahead and choose one. And then down here in the path tools section, if we choose select and hover over any part of the path, you know, we've got our point selection, we can make a curve, but if we right click this, we can actually choose whether or not that's mouse on or mouse off. So for example, this is what the patch sounds like right now. So now let's go ahead and right click and choose mouse off for these, and you'll see that it turns to a dotted line. And now let's see what that sounds like. So what it's doing is saying, and you can actually visually see, when the magnet is over this part of my path, it's going to act like it is not there. And if I switch this, it will do the opposite. So it'll be on just for this part and off for the other part. So that's just another really cool way to get some interesting effects and behaviors with Motion Harmonic. All right, for this next example, there is no audio because I'm pushing it way past where it should be, and it sounds horrible, but I'm doing it because I want to show you this hidden feature. If you look at my VU meter, you'll see that it's way beyond crushed. It's going into the red. And inside of Motion Harmonic, next to the VU meter in the interface, there's actually this check mark, and this is a safety limiter. All I need to do is turn that on and now check out my VU meter. I suggest you have that on at all times so you're never getting any unwanted distortion when you're pushing things like sample rate in your drive, and especially the peak filter. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about drawing a path using the mouse. Of course, we're going to go into record mode. And if I hit record here, I can make a path, and then I can hit stop again. Now, the issue might be for some that we're coming out of the side and we have these sort of two lines here that we don't necessarily want. Of course, we can use trim path to remove those, and then just go ahead and hit the scissors to get rid of it. But there's actually a shortcut, which is a little bit easier and cleaner in my opinion. So I'm going to delete the path. And if I come over here to wherever I want to start and then just hit R on my keyboard, boom. Now I can draw my path, hit R to stop, and now I've got the pathway I'm looking for without the need to trim anything. Again, that's just R on the keyboard when you're in the record mode in the path section in Motion Harmonic. And the last tip I have for you is how to move the pathway. And it's actually pretty simple, but pretty important, and you might not get it right out of the gate, which is why it's in this video. Let's say I'm gonna add a circle to Motion Harmonic. You might think that the select mode will allow you to reposition that circle, but it doesn't. It allows you to take individual nodes or add curves in between them. If we wanna move the entire thing, let's go ahead and delete the path, come to add and add a circle again. If I wanna move that whole circle, what we wanna do is come to the resize feature. And then if you're hovering over the dotted line, you'll be able to resize, but if you're hovering inside, you can just click, drag, and drop, and then you'll have a perfect circle wherever you want it. And that's gonna work the same way with any standard pathway as well. Let's say I've got something like this, and I want to hit the resize, and now I can move the whole thing to wherever I want and still have the ability to resize as well. So if you're looking to move the entire path, you're gonna wanna use the resize control down here in the pathway tools. All right, so there you go. 5 tips you might not have known about. Call them pro tips, call them hidden features, whatever. Now you know them, and you can use Motion Harmonic to its full capabilities. As usual, I'm Joshua Casper. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.